Welcome into the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast. My name is Joel Silverberg, joined by Cooper Smith, our Ice Bears broadcast assistant, who you may remember from last season, back for another year. We certainly appreciate you all checking out the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening on Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Thank you so much for checking out the KIB podcast. Please leave a 5-star rating and review. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Subscriber numbers have been growing on YouTube, so we really appreciate everybody for consistently checking out the podcast over the course of this season so far. And a big weekend for Knoxville coming up. 2 home games as the Ice Bears are in the middle of a 4-game homestand. And for everybody to kind of get introduced to Cooper. So real quick, Coop, why don't you take a moment, just kind of introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are for the fans and listeners who may not have met you yet.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Joel, for once again having me on another Ice Bears opportunity. Cooper Smith. I'm a sophomore at the University of Tennessee, just down the road from the KCAC, journalism and media major. And last fall, I'm coming from St. Louis, Missouri. Just was looking to get some hands-on opportunities, live repetitions with hockey, one of my favorite sports. I walked into Joel's office. We haven't really talked about this, you and I, Joel, but pretty much forced him to include me on the broadcast. Pretty much ambushed him in the office. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride so far. Last year was so fun with the playoff run, so many great opportunities, and love getting birthed into the Knoxville fan base.
It's actually funny. You walked into the office, and for those who don't know our front office, there's like 5 people that share that space, including myself. And you walked in like, "Hey, I don't know who I need to talk to about this or what you guys do. I'm a freshman at UT. It's just, are there any opportunities within your organization to get like broadcasting and play-by-play experience?" And me, um, not being the most serious person in the world, said, "Well, our play-by-play guy sucks, but I guess you can learn something from it." And then everybody else in the office kind of gave me a side eye. So we've worked together for over a year, and I was thinking about it last week. I was like, the first thing I ever said to Cooper was I told him how bad I am at this job, in a very sarcastic sense. But no, it's worked out ever since. You've come on the road on several occasions. You made the trip to Evansville for the championship series. You were in Peoria for a weekend that we had up there. So yeah, you've even hit the road a couple of times. So really appreciate it. Which Peoria is actually really convenient for you because that's so close to your hometown.
Yeah, St. Louis, big Blues fan. It's right there. The Peoria Rivermen actually used to be the AHL affiliate of the Blues, and now we have to go head to head with them here in the SPHL. But yeah, 2.5 hours away from where I call home. So hopefully we can make that trip a couple more times this year, Joel.
And Knoxville will head there in December and January this season for a total of 5 games across 2 weekends. And obviously a lot to get to before that and a lot to recap from this past weekend. We'd like to remind you our podcast is brought to you by Wings Etc. Check them out on Level Road. Good food, great times await at Wings Etc. right outside Turkey Creek in West Knoxville. Cooper, Ice Bears get the split with Pensacola at the Coliseum to start this 4-game home stretch, drop a close defensive battle, kind of a sloppy game both ways. Ice Bears had some chances in the third period, end up losing 2-1. Rico DiMatteo was really good in net for Pensacola. Stephen Mundinger, another quality start. And then the Ice Bears follow it up with a overtime win against the Ice Flyers on Saturday. What stood out to you over the course of 2 games as Knoxville saw Pensy for the first time this year?
I think for me it's just the adversity. John Gerskis touched on it in his pregame show with you, his pregame interview with you before Friday night's game is there's adversity that this team has faced through the first 5 games of the season coming into this weekend, and they experienced it a little bit on Friday. Just those defensive miscues, right? The stick lift by Tyler German on Cam Toby right in front, nothing Dinger could do, and then the switch by Vanner and Toby just past our blue line. That allowed Tyler German to get free on a stretch pass, and Tyler German pretty much was all the offense for Pensacola on Friday night. So just a few defensive miscues, and that's your adversity. But to be able to bounce back and get a great win on Saturday against a team who loves playing in 1-goal games, excuse me, Pensacola somehow did it again. They found their way to battle and claw into 2 more 1-goal games. They picked up a win, and then obviously we picked up that win in overtime. But that hot stretch and that great start in the first period to get 2 goals on the goal scoring sheet in the first period on Saturday, I thought was a huge momentum booster for this team heading into the rest of the way on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's been interesting because at home so far this season, the Ice Bears have kind of struggled to generate that offense. We kind of joked in the game on Friday when Nick Caffarelli scored in the second period. Hey, that's the earliest that the Ice Bears have scored at home this season. They got shut out in the opener against Roanoke. Then in a goaltenders duel where the Ice Bears had quality chances, just couldn't put the puck in the net past Austin Rodebush until Tyler Williams finally scored twice in the final 3 minutes. Then a 2-1 loss on Friday, and then the Ice Bears scored twice in the first 10 minutes on Saturday, and we're thinking, okay, maybe the Ice Bears finally get something going here. Then they don't score again in regulation. So, what is it about what we've seen so far at home? Like, do you have any theories whatsoever as to why Knoxville just can't seem to get the scoring chances and the opportunities and to get the puck on net and home?
I think you touched on it with John in the pregame on Saturday. It's just the multi-purpose venues. It's happening across the league. I mean, if you go to the SPHL website and you look at these goalie statistics, it's beyond me. You and I, we texted about it. I believe it was on Monday night, just looking up and down these names in the statistic. Jack Bostet with Peoria, a 139 goal average with a 9.59 and four starts. Birkin 141 with a 9.57. Latinovich a 1.74 with a 9.43 and four starts. So it's not just happening in Knoxville. I can assure the Ice Bears fans that this goalie surge is happening across the league, and we've just seen it as well in East Tennessee. And I think the best display was against Roanoke on Friday, but we saw two more great goalie duels on Friday and Saturday this past weekend.
Yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, the stats right now, there are 6 goalies in the league with a goals against average of 2.0 even or lower. That's with a minimum of 120 minutes played. You can throw Ty Taylor in there. He's only played 1 game this season, but only gave up 2 goals, so technically there's 7. But then you have 4 goalies that have a goals against average of 1.75 or better with a minimum of 200 minutes played. That's 3.5 games. So I mean that's 10 periods right there. So we're seeing this goaltender surge to start the year. I mean, Steven Mundinger, you look at his numbers from the past several games, his last 4 starts, he's 3-1, a 1.48 goals against average, a 957 save percentage. He stopped 130 of his last 140 shots. He hasn't given up more than 2 goals in any of his last 4 starts. He's 11th in the league in goals against average among qualified goaltenders. That's where we're
It's
at this early
ridiculous.
in the season. And again, we're still this early in the year where if you have one game where those goals kind of pile up a little bit, then it drastically affects the average. And obviously Mundinger, his solid play as of late has really helped his goals against average, but he's at like a 2.42 right now. That's not bad. That's really solid, especially when you consider that he gave up 5 goals in the home opener, but he's 11th in the league in goals against average just because there's so many other goalies that have put up big numbers so far.
Yeah, it's all throughout, and I just want to go back and touch on that Rono game that we saw 2 Fridays ago. Rodebush and Dinger felt like we were watching prime 2010 Central Division hockey. Rene versus Ben Bishop. I mean, these are two monsters going head to head, and that was the reason why that we didn't get a goal until 2.5 minutes left in the third. And thanks to the Knoxville forecheck, which we saw this past Saturday against Pensacola in that first period, it finally took action. You and I have pounded the theory that the profile of the Knoxville Ice Bears comes from the forecheck. John Gerskis loves when we turn defense into offense, but when you get that Soper line going, Tosto, he got a goal and an assist in the first period on Saturday, which was huge for him after a couple missed opportunities on Friday. It's just the forecheck for Knoxville is going to keep them in hockey games, and that's what we saw this past weekend against the Ice Flyers.
And so Knoxville will try to figure out what is how it can find a way to get the offense rolling again, moving forward as it gets ready to take on Birmingham and Roanoke this upcoming weekend. So we'll discuss that a little bit more on the other side as we come back in just a moment. Again, our podcast brought to you by Wings, Etc. Check them out on Level Road, and we appreciate you being with us. With Cooper Smith, I'm Joel Silverberg right here on the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast.
You're listening to the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast, sponsored by Wings Etc. Good food and great times await at Wings Etc.
Welcome back to the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast presented by Wings Etc. with Cooper Smith. I'm Joel Silverberg. So Knoxville splits with Pensacola last weekend. They move on to continue this home stretch. Birmingham is here on Friday. Roanoke comes back on Saturday. This will be the fourth meeting between Knoxville and Roanoke on Sunday. I'm losing track of how many times these teams have played already. It'll be the second time between Knoxville and Birmingham, but the first time here in Knoxville. And Birmingham it's taken them a bit of a while to get going. They've got one win on the season, but they have a handful of post-regulation losses. They've lost 3 times in the shootout already, Cooper. They've been competitive. They've had leads in games. It's just been a matter of a lot of close games so far this season for the Bulls as they get ready to take on Knoxville for the second time this year.
Yeah, one of their lopsided losses actually came from us. They led in that game 2-1 in the first period, and I thought Knoxville did a great job in that second period, just weathering the storm. Right, I think we got outplayed in the second period a couple weekends ago in Birmingham, but just coming out on top with a 5-2 victory, and I think that's where the offense has stemmed from. The Ice Bears fans haven't seen the offense too much at home, but it really took place in Roanoke on the road in the first game in Roanoke on the road. And then also in this game against Birmingham, right? You have the redirection by Branshaw is probably one of the finer goals I've seen from the Ice Bears offense all season long. A shorthanded goal from Willie Soper getting involved. You and I talked about that on the broadcast too. Offensively, he can be a little bit more one-sided offensively this year too. So Birmingham is a team you have success against already this season, so should be pretty confident coming into Friday.
And one thing that John Gerskis has emphasized about Birmingham, they've led in almost every game that they've played in, including the one against Knoxville. And it's just been a matter of being able to close. And you saw the clip just a moment ago, the simple D-to-D pass in the zone that bounces off Cole Youngworth's skate and becomes an easy goal for Connor Fries. It seems like there's been a moment like that in several games for Birmingham so far of just taking care of the puck in their own end. And this game here against Huntsville, that's where this happens. And it's this huge momentum shifting goal right before the end of the second period. And then with Birmingham trailing by 2 late, they find a way to come back and make a couple of late power play goals. They went 4 for 5 on the power play against Huntsville on Sunday, end up losing this game in a shootout where, Huntsville's offense was really buzzing. They were doing a lot of good things here. You look at this effort by Josh Kestner, and this is why, by the way, Huntsville made it such a big deal that Josh Kestner had signed, misses the shot here, takes it back at the blue line, skates around the defense, gets into the slot. That quick release just beats the glove side of Hayden Stewart. That's how lethal Josh Kestner's shot can be, and that's why he and Austin Alger are off to such a big start this season. But it really goes to show Birmingham has been in games against quality opponents, just been a matter of finishing. And if they start to put it together, and they've already obviously got the success on the man advantage, if you get into the box against them, you give them opportunities late, they can make you pay for it. They beat Roanoke last Friday and end up getting 3 out of 4 points against 2 good teams over the weekend. So this is a Birmingham team that has a lot to prove, I think, coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just to echo you a little bit too, 4 for 5 on the power play. That's absurd. This game kind of mirrored us with the penalty detail this past Saturday. So many chances for both teams, and that's why the scoring was 5-4 in a shootout. Both teams actually had a chance on the power play in overtime too. So there's just a lot of looks. The adversity, I want to go back to adversity. Knoxville's dealt with it, Birmingham has dealt with it, but getting a goal with 3 seconds left, that is huge against the best team in the league. That also is kind of a momentum shift. That's why I thought maybe Birmingham was going to pull this out in overtime. And the Ledzianko brothers are really carrying this offense. You talked about it in the first podcast of the year a couple weeks ago. No Carson Rose, no Nikita Kozarev. So they're just finding ways to stay in hockey games. And 7 games, small sample size. This is going to be a good hockey team.
It should be noted, Craig Sibchuk, he's a 2-time SPHL Coach of the Year. Kevin Kerr has a really decorated career within this league, has won a championship as a coach before. So Birmingham has the coaching staff. They're trying to develop that talent and trying to get things going moving forward. Released Vadim Frolov earlier this week, so trying to make moves to allow the team to get better. They get Shane Murphy back off the IR. And so you have some guys that were a part of this team last year. The Ledzianko brothers are obviously off to a really good start, but even some of the newcomers, Parker Soretsky, Doug Scott, some players that they have that haven't been with the organization as long have been doing some good things for them. So I do think that you're seeing a competitive hockey team. And while they were the last team to get a win, they're not technically last in the standings right now. And it's obviously a lot of hockey left to be played. But if Birmingham continues to stay in games, eventually the puck is going to start bouncing their way and they're going to start getting some wins. But obviously you want to take this as an opportunity to try to figure some things out offensively, getting to play against a team that has left some things open in the D zone at times with a little bit smaller space. Maybe that benefits Birmingham. And then hopefully on Knoxville's end, they can find a way to take advantage of some misfortune that has fallen on the Bulls so far this year. And also one thing to note, Jamie Dorsey, who is one of the returning defensemen for this Birmingham team, not going to be in this game on Friday as a result of this slashing penalty that he committed against Huntsville. You see him at the bottom of the screen right there, takes the slash, the fight ensues, and then Dorsey is dismissed from the contest. He was assessed a major late in the first period, so missed the rest of the game, did not return, and then he will not play on Friday here at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum.
Yeah, it was just kind of a crazy play all around. Ashton Paul, he cross-checked Arkip Ledzianko going in behind the goal in the sequence a little bit earlier. I don't know if Dorsey saw that happen and took exception to it, but he definitely took exception to the hit. The hit didn't look too malicious, but then it's a clear 10 minute game misconduct when you whack the stick blade across the face of the opponent.
And it's an additional game for Dorsey. So we're seeing the league buckle down a couple times already on slashing calls this year. So no Jamie Dorsey for Birmingham on Friday. He will be eligible to return when the Bulls actually go back to Huntsville on Sunday. So back-to-back Sundays, Birmingham and Huntsville are going to face off at the Von Braun Center. And Birmingham is going to try to come into Knoxville before going on the road to Huntsville and trying to pick up a big weekend, as they are playing with a little bit of momentum right now. Got their first win, picking up another post-regulation loss against an in-state rival. And you got to credit Birmingham with the way they came back with those late 2 power play goals, down by 2 with less than 4 minutes to go and finding a way to tie the game and pick up a point. So this is a team that does have some weapons, and they can find ways to get goals when they really need them.
Yeah, that's why Knoxville's got to be careful. And 1-3-3 doesn't really look too good on the record and in the standings, but you still have a solid goaltender back there with Hayden Stewart. I mean, his numbers on the year, he's got a 2.92 goals allowed average per game with a 909 save percentage. That's nothing bad at all. It's just what we talked about earlier in the podcast. This goalie surge with these numbers has just been ridiculous. So he's right around average, maybe even to above average on the statistical standpoint. And he's a tenured goaltender. We saw him last year. It's going to be another good goaltenders duel this upcoming Friday, and we should expect a great 60 minutes of hockey.
Should be a lot of fun as the Ice Bears get ready to take on Birmingham on Friday and then Roanoke on Sunday. That Sunday game is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then, of course, the usual 7:30 start time here at the Coliseum for Friday night against the Bulls. Cooper and I will have the call for you both nights on 93.7 WVLZ, the flagship station of the Knoxville Ice Bears, as well as Flow Hockey, courtesy of Flow Sports, the official streaming partner of the SPHL. He's Cooper Smith. I'm Joel Silverberg. We really appreciate you taking the time to check out the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast. Cooper, thank you for being on. Look forward to having you on the broadcast on Friday.
Joel, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you again for checking out the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast. For Cooper Smith, I'm Joel Silverberg. Friday night, Ice Bears take on the Bulls right here at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum as you've been listening to the Knoxville Ice Bears podcast presented by Wings Etc.